Hello, welcome everybody to the 18th Annual Training Institute and Conference, Housing Equals Justice Conference. We are thrilled to have all of you here today for this session, When Kids Experience Homelessness, and have some wonderful presenters today, including some youth here to share their experiences. We really have a wonderful panel in store that I think is really going to be interesting for people. So a few words about the Housing Equals Justice campaign and conference. We are focused on the themes of economic justice, criminal justice, and racial justice, because we know that those are major topics that are tied to homelessness today, and are also looking in this conference at COVID and its implications for homelessness. So hope that you are taking advantage of our wonderful sessions. We are halfway through, more than halfway through, and we'll be running with hourly sessions all the way through Friday at 5, so please spread the word. And on that note, hope that you visit our store, also at the conference website, cch.org/ATI-2020. You can click on the store if you want your own Housing Equals Justice merchandise, including t-shirts, face masks, and mugs. Those mugs actually have the Housing Equals Justice logo on the other side. And so, of course, we want to thank our sponsors. Bank of America and Zillow are our presenting sponsors for this conference, and they've made it possible for us to offer you this conference free of charge. So thank you, Bank of America and Zillow, and a special thank you to our workshop sponsor, Connecticut State Colleges and Universities. Thank you for making this possible. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Carl Assakainen, to introduce today's presenters.
Awesome. Sorry about that. Well, hello everyone. Welcome. I'm Carl Assakainen. I'm a youth system coordinator here at the Connecticut Coalition to End Homelessness. Some of you might be looking at your computer, wondering if you're on the right channel, if you were just in the McKinney Vento session. I promise this will be the last one. Today, at least, that you'll see me on. But we're really excited to have this panel together. We have Marina Marmolejo, who is from DreamKit, also Master of Public Health and from Yale University and an anti-poverty advocate. We have Chris Venable, who does this fantastic backbone work for Journey Home in both central Connecticut and the Hartford region, with this extensive experience with homeless youth for 15 years out of Denver, Colorado. And then we also have Tim Maguire, who is a director of housing, and wow, Tim, you do an awful lot for Youth Continuum. Tim comes with a lot of experience, 2 master's degrees, a lot of work with Court Support Services Division, works now with within the system of youth service programs or youth serving programs through Runaway Homeless Youth provider there at Youth Continuum. So I wanted to just say thank you very much to all of you for your patience with us at the Coalition, particularly with me trying to get this panel together, but really excited about this today. Absent, we invited Shania Paris, who is this rock star McKinney Vento from the Waterbury School District. Apologies, she couldn't make it, but she's helped us many times, and you'll see a lot of what we talk about today is maintaining this kind of continuity between school connections and district connections and other services for youth aging out of school or continuing into college. So we miss you, Shania. Hope you can join us next time. And then really excitedly, we have youth with us today, and I just wanted to give them each an opportunity to say a few words about themselves. And thank you so much for being here, and I'll just start in no order other than the order of my scribbled notes here, but Tef, if you could just say a couple words and introduce yourself, that would be great.
Teth, you're muted. thank you. Sorry, I wasn't looking down. I just turned on the camera. Hi, I am Tess Pickens. I am with Journey Home YAC Group, Youth Action Council. That's what it stands for. I grew up in New Haven through DCF. So I have a lot of experience through that. I went on to join many programs. I will be ending with YAC because they gave me the opportunity to be the change that I want to see in these programs.
Thank you. Thank you, Teth. Tyler, I wanted to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Tyler. I'm from the New Haven, Connecticut region. I am with the Youth Continuum program. I've been with them for about 2 years, and I am 22 years old, going on 23, and I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Thank you, Teth. Veronica, you're next. Veronica, you're next on my list. I'm sorry. I thought your last name was Wells. I think I might be right, but Veronica.
Hey guys, I'm Veronica. She, her pronouns. I'm 24 years old. I've been experiencing housing instability all throughout the New Haven region since I was in my junior year of high school at 16. And through the help of Youth Continuum, I was able to get custody of my child, and I've been housed for about 2 years now. I'm part of the Youth Advisory Board, and my goal is to help other kids who went through what I went through. So thank you guys for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. And Necha. Welcome, Necha Molina.
You're muted, Necha, you're muted.
It happens to all of us. You're still muted.
Necha.
Got it. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name is Necha Molina. I'm 21 years old, and I've been to the Youth Continuum program, and I've been working with the DreamKit app for 2 months now as a youth specialist to end youth homelessness. My unstable situation started happening while I was 18 years old till now. I lived in a abandoned apartment for 4 months, and it went from that to, sleeping on other people's couches and stuff. So yeah, I'm just trying to grow from that, and be in a stable situation, and I want to help others as well. Yes.
Thank you so much. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And lastly, I'm not sure if we are joined yet by Talon, but we're waiting to be joined. Is not quite yet. Okay, so we have one more youth who will be joining us. They're doing some device charging as we speak, so to be joined. But let me just continue here so I can get myself out of the way and let this important work and content start. Really, the national estimates are really challenging to try to understand how many youth are experiencing homelessness and housing instability in any given moment, and certainly throughout the year. And this is particularly challenging for unaccompanied homeless youth, including minors, but also, we're paying attention to the whole of the cohort here that's 13 to 24 years old. So as we know, young people, and we have folks here today who could speak to this. We know that young people often exist within this space or within the agencies such as the Runaway Homeless Youth providers, the Department of Correction, the Department of Children and Families, and school districts and colleges and universities. It's a big terrain, and often with silos and maybe not communication between those agencies and organizations who otherwise should be serving and trying to help youth get better in many ways, but certainly including housing. we know that those young people who are homeless, right, are likely to be unsheltered nationwide and particularly in Connecticut as far as a cohort goes. And they're also, of course, like other homeless populations, they're at this increasing risk for substance abuse and trafficking and with chronic healthcare problems. So this effort today and this panel is really trying to give us all a look quickly first at how our system is functioning through RIDE provider and Youth Continuum and through direct service providers, through Chris Venable and the work that he's doing in Central and Hartford, and then also with Marina and trying to resource up young people throughout whatever age it is that they might be, but like kind of throughout this experience and help them get on their feet. So that's the context where this kind of panel comes together. We're trying to give a quick system look and an introduction, but really focus on discussion and filling in the gaps and really understanding specific challenges that that young people have experienced leading up till now. So I want to just thank all of the attendees, particularly our young people here, for helping us kick this off. And I think we're going to start with Tim Maguire from Youth Continuum. And I will just moderate kind of in the background here, but I want to remind all of the attendees, you know, your questions are really important. Put questions in the chat function. We will try to address them when we get to that part of the session here today. We only have an hour, but everything is recorded and we will share. So your thoughts and your ideas are vital to us. So please use all of the technology that we have. And with that, I will step aside and say, please take it away, Tim.
Thanks, Carl. So as I switch screens here, bear with me. So as Carl said earlier, I'm Tim Maguire. I'm the Director of Housing Operations at Youth Continuum, and I'm also the Greater New Haven Youth Engagement Team Initiative Chair. So in that role, I'm overseeing pretty much all the housing in our agency for HUD and DCF young people. And with the Yeti, you know, kind of making sure data's up to par and we're cross-referring clients and young people across the system. And so actually, Carl mentioned a good word, silos, which is a good segue into this graphic that I hope you guys can all see. Hoping the screen share worked. You know, New Haven's really focused on not being so siloed. And so this very convoluted graphic is that way on purpose, is that we are trying to cross-refer people like crazy, young people. We don't want to try to put young people who have gone through so much through more of a ringer trying to get to service and the connections. So we're constantly cross-referring across systems and supports and resources and really trying to make connections as much as we can. So very briefly, that we have a deep conversation for today. You know, we try to bucket our young people into our 18 to 24s who have no formal supports and need a housing, our DCF young people who have DCF supports, and then we have our minors. And if you kind of briefly follow the arrows and the colors, you know, they get connected to us in a variety of ways, whether it's through community referrals, DCF referrals, just walking into our soup kitchens and drop-in centers. And then we try to take the lead as navigators, caseworkers, to get them through this system as quick as possible, hopefully leading into stable housing. So again, we are really focused down here on making sure we don't have the gaps in the system. You know, one thing we did recently in this area was Youth Continuum took over doing all family youth assessments for the CAN as a way to kind of you know, first eyes on a young person who's a family or parenting youth, and then kind of triage in where they might have to go if it's to a family shelter, another program. We're really trying to funnel all young people through us, so we're kind of the first contact, and then really kind of, you know, be attentive to needs, responsive, and offer all the supports we can to get them stably housed. All right. So again, very convoluted, very high level, not going to do a deep dive into it, but wanted to show everybody kind of how much is going on down here, that we're really trying to grab young people at any level of need and kind of send them the best way possible as fast as possible. Right. So I'm going to switch screens here for Chris.
Actually, Tim, before you switch screens, we're going to switch screens, but the Greater Hartford and Central Regions flow system is almost identical to what Tim has up there for Greater New Haven. The one exception being there are no daytime drop-in centers in Greater Hartford or Central Regions for youth. And as Teth knows, and we'll talk about and hopefully answer some questions with everybody else, that's one of the areas of focus on trying to make some change. So now, Tim, while we're waiting, Carl said something about me doing all this work. I am, my role in Greater Hartford and Central is the Coordinated Access Network Homeless Youth Liaison. And so really, I'm not doing the work. The people who have their feet on the ground, the youth navigators at the Salvation Army and the youth navigator at the Community Renewal Team, and all of the youth that we are working with on the Youth Action Council and the members. I co-chair the Youth Engagement Team Initiative in Greater Hartford with Rochelle Curry from the Connection, and I chair the one in Central. And so all of the agencies that work together to try to do this work are who is doing the work, not me. And so in Greater Hartford and Central, Teth is here to talk and speak to the work of the Youth Action Council, where our overall goal is to try to help make youth homelessness rare, brief, and one time. And that is through a diversion and prevention approach. I'm not going to read the slide word for word, but we're working on building communities of support, trying to focus on letting youth know that people care about them. And maybe I am going to read the slide word for word. There's a huge emphasis now, and I think everybody knows this, and we want to work on it more, on encouraging and facilitating family mediation when it is safe to do so. And then one thing that I mentioned earlier at the start is advocating for change, exploring ways that 211 can become more youth-friendly over time. And then again, Teth can speak to this, and I'm sure the other youth participants can as well. But when we talk about outreach, we're talking about identifying locations where youth are so that we can meet them where they are at, and then engaging other young people in the work, because I don't look like a youth experiencing homelessness, and people generally probably don't want to talk to me. So engaging youth in the work and then creating opportunities. One of the big roles that we're doing right now with the Youth Action Council in the Greater Hartford and Central region is trying to break down the silos that Tim mentioned with education and employment opportunities, especially where there are apprenticeship opportunities and workforce opportunities. And there are a lot of employers who have open positions, and they're siloed off, and we want to blow the doors off of that and create opportunities for those youth to either continue their education, get some training, or find employment. And with that, I will turn it over to Marina.
Stop the share, Marina. All right, it's all yours, Marina.
Alrighty. Hey everyone. My name is Marina Marmolejo, and I very much see myself as not only a public health practitioner, but an entrepreneur in the space of youth homelessness. And I see my role here today is just giving you all permission to start thinking differently, start thinking creatively around what type of programmings and solutions and interventions we are creating, not only for young people experiencing homelessness, but specifically during COVID and during this crazy time. So I wanted to give you a very brief overview of DreamKit, which is the app that people experiencing homelessness and some students and community members in the area. So overall, we at DreamKit are doing three main things. The first is that we have a curriculum. We call it DreamKit Activities, where we educate young people around different independent living skills. So this can mean a variety of things. We have activities about financial management, or how to build a resume, how to be a good roommate, how to cope with your stress. I mean, there's hundreds of activities on DreamKit, and the whole goal is, right now during COVID, a lot of young people are bored and might be unemployed and are just looking for areas to learn about and to grow. And so on the DreamKit platform, we provide just that. But then we actually financially compensate our members for completing different activities on DreamKit. So everyone gets a $5 gift card for every activity that they've completed. And then we take it one step further and are creating kind of like individualized resumes. We call them DreamKit profiles, for all of our members to be able to share their progress with people in the community, gatekeepers in the community who can help. Very specifically with COVID and unemployment, we're taking these profiles and sharing them strategically with employers in the area. The whole goal is to track young people's progress, their skill building behaviors, and their resilience, and spread it to people who can help them escalate out of that cycle of homelessness. So to give you a little bit nitty gritty about what the app actually looks like, this is mock-ups of the screens that are going to be on the app come the fall. Right now it's web-based, but in the fall it's going to be available on both app stores. So as you can see, youth can scroll through, find a bunch of different activities that they find interesting, stuff around, right, financial health, etc. And then they can also sort through the activities based off of what skills they're interested in learning. We then aggregate their progress and have it in two forms. One is through showing them how many points, and when I say points, I just mean how much money they've earned to date, and that they're able to spend to help them meet basic needs. So young people who've been using DreamKit so far have, spent their gift cards on food and hygiene products, and maybe if you're couch surfing, an air mattress. So the diversity of what people are spending their points are pretty interesting. And then, like I said before, youth can actually have their own profiles to be able to track their progress, which we very much intentionally and anticipate sharing them with employers in the area to upskill them and get them into some employment opportunities. And so the last 6 months, even during COVID, we've experienced a lot of success. We've had about 30 young people using our app, all of which they've, right here, built over at about 2,500 different skill sets. We've been able to push out $4,000 worth of gift cards to youth to help them meet some basic needs. And all of that is with the support of our team, which is still growing. We're at 40 plus people right now. And it's been a wonderful experience, to say the least. Very much I've had thought partners and support systems throughout the greater New Haven area. And so if I didn't mention that at the top, we are located in the greater New Haven area, but very much have intentions of spreading throughout Connecticut once we get more funding and support. And then I lastly wanted to touch on our youth specialists. These are just a couple of a larger group who are young people. They have unstable housing experience, and we use them as our main marker for decision making. We don't make decisions without running them through our youth specialists, and because, right, we can't create an effective, sustainable app without the actual experience of folks who are experiencing the problem. And so I wanted to share 3 things really quickly that I have learned throughout my time running DreamKit. And the first is that youth and young adults are actively avoiding systems. And so we need to be very intentional about how we are promoting our programs, projects, interventions to not give it that systems level feeling. For me, that solution is an app, right? It looks fun. There's a bunch of colors. It's warm. It's inviting. That could look differently for other people on this call, but I just want to name the fact that, youth have been disappointed with systems in the past. So how are we acknowledging that, naming it, and moving forward in fun, creative ways? The second is that COVID proposes a really interesting opportunity for us to use technology to include youth in the conversation, right? Like even now we're having youth with lived experience join us and provide their feedback. And that can be done in a variety of ways. And so I want to push this idea where if you have conversations with your leadership board, with your board of trustees, if you're just having these high level conversations in your agencies and want youth perspective, now more than ever, that's absolutely possible. Send out the Zoom link to youth, compensate them for their time. This is something that has allowed DreamKit to experience so much success, is that we're constantly tapping into the knowledge of youth with lived experience. I also want to name the fact that we should be thinking about and hopefully acting on the fact of paying young people's phone bills, whether that's fully subsidizing it or at least partially subsidizing it. This is a huge barrier and contributor to the digital divide. So if we can kind of get ahead of that, and as agencies and folks who have access to funding, if we can compensate their bills, that would be fantastic. And then lastly, the third thing is that youth are actively looking for employment opportunities. This sounds obvious, but I just want to name the fact that we shouldn't shy away from just part-time and temp jobs, right? If you have folks who have a job, maybe it's just one day, that young people are actively looking for experiences and connections and people that can put as references on their resumes. So those are 3 things that I've really found to be, highlighted during COVID, and I wanted to share that with you all. So here's my information. I'll absolutely answer any questions at the end of the talk.
Marina, we actually have we've got a couple questions right now. Maybe you could just hop on. Someone asked about what source of funding you are utilizing, or sources of funding, I think that you're utilizing, and then specific partnerships with stores and businesses. And I know that you've done something around race and equity to this, so I would just let you answer those.
Sure. We, contrary to what you would think, we've actually found a lot of success in funding in the entrepreneurial world and less so within the homeless management system. And I think that is because DreamKit is so different that we needed to just test our product, get some, initial success data, and then share it to, institutions in the homeless management space to show them that it's working. So I say that because our funding has come from the more entrepreneurial innovation spaces where they're like, yeah, this is an idea, just go for it, test it, here's some funding. So naming the fact that New Haven Innovation Collaborative has been amazing. Sci-City, which is the entrepreneurial office of Yale, has been great. Collab New Haven, these are all entrepreneurial funding sources. The second piece is acknowledging that DreamKit points, right? Basically money for young people who are completing activities on the app. That provides so much opportunity for us to partner with corporations, local businesses. I ask myself all the time, how can these DreamKit points be used, for local restaurants and for, grocery stores? And we're essentially at DreamKit creating a currency for youth who are exhibiting positive behaviors and allowing them to have money to meet basic needs. And so for us, it's like, what does DreamKit points look like on the ground within New Haven, within Connecticut? What stores are we partnering with? That's exciting. But then also the kind of big dog corporations and asking them to play a piece. For example, Nike, right? What does a partnership with Nike look like? Where we can say, hey, this is DreamKit. These are what our members are completing. This is their progress. Can you donate 100 pairs of shoes? And then using those, products or donations to then tell youth, hey, if you complete 20 activities this week, you not only get, $5 for each activity, but Nike's joined the team and wants to give you a pair of shoes. So I say that because there's a lot of opportunity to include smaller systems, larger systems into this DreamKit ecosystem, because we're creating this behavioral shift and behavioral compensation for young people to build skills, right? That's the name of the game, is upskilling and helping youth learn to be exposed to new skills to then enter into a workforce with a healthy, stable mindset.
Awesome. I want to take this opportunity to call attention for the group to the questions or the concepts that we kind of have put up here. We know that minor youth and other youth avoid this system in general, and some of the system we kind of scratched the surface about how this is organized at a regional level. We want to know also very generally just about the connections that you might have and maintaining those connections to housing in this COVID moment. And then just we want to open it up to education and employment and accessing resources and opportunities really for young people. And I know Teth had something to say specifically about this maintaining connection to 211 and the challenges with that. I don't know, would you, Teth, could you give us some words about that?
I was just basically saying, sometimes when we go meet with youth for the YAC sometime, and we're asking them about the resources that they need and things that may be able to help them, we ask oh, have you contacted 211? And a lot of times you hear I have a phone, but I only can use it under Wi-Fi, you know what I mean? And Wi-Fi is not everywhere outside. So, they have to wait till they get to a location that has Wi-Fi for them to use it to even make a call. And then, sometimes 211 has to call you back. So if they have to call you back and you're under Wi-Fi using the phone to make the call, you get what I'm saying? You're not going to hear that voicemail, or it might be too late. You know what I mean? Or you're just going to have to keep calling over and over, and they might get frustrated because now it's become repetitive and they're not seeing any result, you know, because a lot of times people don't have help paying their phone bill. So I just thought that was a good idea for us to incorporate that somehow this way in our area. But I do think it should be contingent upon them being in a program, because it shouldn't be anything that's like a free ride. It should be more like, okay, what resources do you need? And if you continue to follow through with your education or your schooling or the program that you're in, then we'll continue to pay your phone bill. You know what I mean? That's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Teth. Thank you so much. I'm just going to take this opportunity to respond to another question from Stacy Violante Cote. And the question is, on this point of system avoidance, I'd love to hear from the youth panelists as to why they think high school students avoid telling their schools about their housing instability. You know, we've spoken about this as a group leading up to the conference, so it'd be great to hear from you all. And what would help with this so housing unstable students can access their rights to transportation, et cetera, under the law? So if any of our youth panelists want to speak to why you might be avoiding, you know, system avoidance as a high school student, please do.
Well, I think a lot of the times it's about being embarrassed and peer pressure. So I think that the people that are noticing that someone may be having housing issues should just care enough to be more aware about the signs. I think a solution is to have some type of training where it's therapeutic enough that you have enough compassion and empathy to approach a situation to where it's not embarrassing to the person that's going through it. Because a lot of the time it's pride. It's, I don't want these other kids to tease me if they find out about my living situation. I don't want to be embarrassed. You get what I'm saying? So I just feel like it's about the approach. If I notice it's winter time in school and this kid keeps coming to school with no socks on, that's me being aware of, like, you know, their situation, but I'm not going to assume they're homeless. I will pull them aside and say, hey, I noticed you haven't had socks on the, you know, couple days, you know, are you having a problem? Oh, I'm sorry, start. Are you having a problem, you know, with that? Or like, you know, just try to get an understanding of where the root of that is coming from, instead of assuming that they're just homeless, or assuming, you know, they just don't have any socks. You know, let it be make them comfortable enough to where it seems like it was their idea to tell you what's going on. That's what I'm saying. Because a lot of times people are embarrassed. They're not going to outwardly say, hey, I'm homeless and I've been living outside for a week. It's just not going to happen like that. It's not a realistic world. Now we live in a society now where your peers can influence you to be embarrassed about anything. You get what I'm saying? Just, you don't want to be ridiculed about a situation that you can't control. So I feel like it's more about the approach. You know, you don't want to feel no way about it. You know, you just want help. So I think it's more about like getting them to feel comfortable enough to say, hey, I need that help.
Thanks, Teth, and thanks for that question, Stacy. Carl, did you say there was a question from somebody else that was going to be asked?
I'm trying to work with Rosie Lopez here, because I see in chat that she had a question. So I'll be right with you there.
And in the meantime, I would love, Tyler and Veronica or Nisha, do you have any reactions to that as to why you think youth might be not want to disclose their homeless status in schools, or just like even when they're younger in general? What are some of those?
Yeah, for me, I think for me, it's just the relationship that I have with my parents too. And I think a lot of other youth who are having housing instability could probably relate that just the relationship is not healthy to start with, you know what I mean? And that could also lead to what Teth was saying, like the embarrassment and just the lack of communication. Like if you can't communicate to your child, then what do you expect? You know what I mean? My parents, I remember they had kicked me out too. So why am I gonna, you know, come to them for anything if they kicked me out at 17? You know what I mean? So I'll start my video. But yeah, that's how I feel about that. It's just the relationship prior to everything, you know what I mean, was already unstable, you know?
And did you feel like you had a relationship with anyone in the school-based setting that you could disclose or kind of find?
My friends that I, you know, slept at their houses with, you know, they knew. But other than that, you know, I kept it to myself, really. It's like Teth said, that's embarrassing. It's not something that you broadcast. And it's also just something about, I guess, maybe our ego at that age. I remember, like, back then, it's just like a pride thing, you know, like, I could do this. I don't need nobody. You know what I mean? And at that age, you're really stuck in that mindset, you know? And it's hard, especially when, you know, when you're not getting any other advice from anybody and when you're not talking to anybody prior, it's hard to really get out of that. You know what I mean? Because nobody's going to tell you otherwise, but you just know yourself. You really don't know anything else, you know?
Yeah,
To
it's
go a
kind
little
of like
deeper,
you
how
get
can
in.
we, I'm sorry, go ahead,
It's
Ted.
kind
Go
of
ahead,
like
Ted.
it's kind of like you get in survival mode. You get what I'm saying? Being a youth and being homeless and having to deal with all that on your own. You look at it like, oh, I can't ask no one for help. Like she said, I got this. I could figure this out. But I feel like I really need somebody to quote this because I think you guys said this is recording. But the worst mindset an adult can have dealing with a youth is treating them how you see them, like, oh, she seems like she has it all figured it out. She acts grown. So when I talk to her, I'm going to speak to her like she's grown instead of speaking to her like the 16 or 17-year-old she is. You get what I'm
I
saying?
can agree that
Sometimes a person,
that tough love never works for me. And like my parents had a lot of that tough love, and tough love is not good. It's not gonna help, you know.
yeah, just because you seem strong or you talk strong or you look strong doesn't mean it's okay for you to be strong at such a young age. You get what I'm saying? Like, we have to get out of that mindset that because this person went through all these things and it made them strong, they're just supposed to be that way. Sometimes people don't want to be strong anymore. So it's more about getting down to the root of that, like helping them get out of survival mode so they're able to open up to you and tell you what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, I really feel like once you look at a youth for their age and not the experience they went through during that age, it's easier to connect with them. You get what I'm saying? Because you can come down to their level in a sense and say, oh, wow, what if I had a daughter or a niece or a nephew their age? You get what I'm saying? That's not going through the same thing as them. How would I want this 16-year-old to be acting and living their life as a child? You get what I'm saying? Despite all the things we know they went through. You know what I mean? It's kind of like trying to get them back to being a kid. You know, like remind them of that.
So that's a really good point, and I honestly don't remember ever hearing that. Do you guys have any, do you all have any thoughts on how to do that? How can a provider or a counselor or even a peer mentor do that? Form that relationship?
That's why I always say the therapeutic approach is best. I know a lot of people don't like hearing that, and there's a big stigma, especially in the Black community, when it comes to therapy. But therapy changed my life, so you know what I'm saying? I'm a witness. So I will advocate for it every day, all day. I just feel like people need to be trained how to speak to people, because sometimes I feel like in a lot of the programs I went through too, like the staff will come in with their outside attitude to deal with me on the inside of a program. And that's not fair. You know what I mean? So I just feel like sometimes you gotta remember like who you're dealing. I feel like there needs to be extensive training with these people that are hired to deal with the youth, so they have a background on like what's not okay. Because I feel like just because you think on your regular everyday, this is how I talk to people, so this is how I'm going to talk to the youth, it doesn't always work like that. You know what I mean? It's all about approach. I promise you, if you can approach somebody and bring them down from that survival mode and that feeling like, oh my God, it's just me in the world, only me. You know what I mean? You will get some type of connection and some type of opening up from them. It's about the approach. The approach needs to be worked on. When you're meeting with these youth, when you're helping them make a decision that's going to be concrete for their life, for the next program they're going to go into, just make them feel like you want to be involved enough to see them succeed, you know, and whatever the next thing is going to be for them to do. It's the approach. It's like I can't give you a clear instruction on how to do it, but I can promise you it's the approach. You get what I'm saying? It's like how you speak to them, you don't have to try to always relate with someone. Sometimes the best thing for a person is like realizing I'm heard. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to keep telling you stories about my life that can relate to the things that you're saying to me right now. You know what I mean? Sometimes just saying, oh, I hear you, and I want to understand, and I get it. You get what I'm saying? Just saying that can make a whole difference instead of saying, well, Dad, my Aunt Susie, you know, she had a cousin who went through that too. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even about being relatable sometimes. Sometimes it's just being that ear. You know, some people just need to be heard. It's as simple as that. And the more you make them feel comfortable with being heard, the more they'll have to say now that they know that they are heard. You know what I mean? Like, open that space to be heard.
I heard you say survival mode a lot, which I think we all agree. Many young people we face are in survival mode. How, from anyone's perspective, can we spin that survival mode to dispel the myth that reaching out for help as a minor equals DCF involvement? Because that's a fear. You know, we face, I have a young person I know that avoided calling for help because the fear was that means you have to call DCF and get me taken away. So how do we, from you guys' perspective, spin the survivor mode into like dispelling myths and get people involved with us?
That's a good question.
I mean, I feel like just being clear on your intention, like I feel like you gotta like make it clear what you're there for. You know what I mean? Because then it doesn't leave a question in my head. I know exactly what I'm gonna get if I choose to ask you for help. You know what I mean? Like, it just needs to be a very clear understanding of what to expect if they were to reach out to you. You get what I'm saying? Like something that says, like, I don't know how to explain it, but more like a statement in a sense that lets a youth know that when they contact you, it's more about what they're trying to do for themselves more than you trying to take them from someone or, you know, get DCF involved. Let it be known that when I do get engaged or you do get engaged with them, it's strictly in the beginning to help you meet whatever that goal is for yourself. Like wherever you're trying to get in life, this is our focus. We can deal with the other stuff if that comes into play, but the main focus is to help you achieve whatever that is you're trying to do. So I feel like making that clear some way, somehow, so people know what to expect, and then that'll break the nerves. Like, I don't have that question in the back of my mind. And you're right, a lot of youth do think that. I met a 17-year-old boy who asked me that if he called 211 and tried to get help, would they go home and investigate the mother because she's choosing to take care of one child but not him. She kicked him out, but she's choosing to take care of the other one. So he wanted to know if he called, would he get his mom in trouble? You get what I'm saying? So that it's multiple situations where they want help, but they're nervous about how it's gonna backfall on everyone else. So just something, I don't know if it's like they can make it known with 211 when they call, like, hey, you're a youth. We just want to let you know at the beginning of this phone call, anything you say to us is not to be reported back to DCF. We are strictly just getting, you know, observation of what you are trying to do for yourself and to help you get out of the situation you're in. You get what I'm saying? Like, wherever they're calling to get this help or resources, they just need to make that clear first, so that question disappears out the back of their head.
That's a really good point, Teth. Thanks for sharing. I know, Tyler, did you have something that you wanted to add to that now? Okay, I thought you'd put your camera. Cool.
I had something that I wanted to add. From my experience, I remember, I don't know, you guys know Elizabeth Larkin. She was my caseworker when I came in, and she was great. She changed everything for me. She was a great caseworker. She asked me what I needed, what did I want, and she always used to tell me, like, whatever you want, I'll want too. You know what I mean? So it's not just about like what the system wants from me. She wanted from me what I wanted from me. And that approach really, really helped me. And she was the only person that approached me in that way. And I think that everyone, like all the youth who kind of like recover from their instability, they all have that one person that, like Teth said, gave them that approach that I want to listen and I'm here for you and I'm going to help you. And Elizabeth Larkin, she really, really helped me out. She was like, she did steps by steps for me, and she listened to my story, and she was able to like talk back and like repeat things to me that I said, so I knew she was listening, you know, and that approach really, really helped. Everybody needs that one caseworker. I had my CAN assessment with her. We cried together, you know, And I knew that she was always there for me. And I could text her at night, you know, when she was off work. She wasn't just like, after I clock out, I'm not going to talk to you anymore. You know, like she was a great person. So everybody needs that person. You know what I mean? I think that's really important. Just like Teth said, like that therapeutic approach is really important.
How about what are the best ways to get youth opportunities to continue their education or get linked to employment? Because I know that that's a constant struggle for a lot of youth who are experiencing housing instability.
I mean, if we're talking about like from the beginning, when I was homeless, one thing I kept stressing to people is I can't get a job without an address. You know what I mean? So like sometimes like we got to back up, you know what I mean? Like we jump too far into the game, and the homeless youth, there's steps before we could get there. You get what I'm saying? So like job wise, if a lot of them are homeless, it's not gonna make sense for you to start working in an unstable housing situation. I do not think that it's really possible for you to keep a job when your housing is unstable. So if that part is fixed and they do have housing and they're having trouble with employment, I think it's the focus. A lot of times when I was in DCF and things like that, no one ever really asked me, what do you want to do? It was always trying to steer me in a direction of what they thought I was good at, or what they thought I might want to do, or what they thought might interest me. No one ever asked me as the person that was going to be doing it, did I find it something that I could turn into a career? Or did I find it something that I saw longevity in? No one ever asked me that. You get what I'm saying? So it's more like helping them find a focus on something that they see blossoming into a career. And also sometimes helping them see some of their dreams aren't realistic. You get what I'm saying? Because sometimes they need that push too. Like, you know, let's build your resume and help you find something that matches up with your resume. And then, you know, remind them that that's just a stepping stool to get to where they're trying to go. If it's not something that they're, you know, so into. Because I think a lot of times if you rush somebody into something and not give them the full evaluation of what they're getting themselves into, they think that's it. That's the only pit stop in life. That's as far as they're going to go. You get what I'm saying? So I feel like sometimes you got to tell them like, hey, you might have started flipping these burgers, but then you became that manager, and then eventually you own your own franchise. You got to let them see a bigger picture. You know what I mean? Like, not, oh, you're flipping burgers and McDonald's down the street hiring too. You know, it has to be, you have to help them see that it could go further than what their original situation started at. Growth. They got to see growth. You know, like be inspired to see that there could be growth in whatever you're doing.
Thank you. That's a great point. I agree.
So I'd just chime in here and maybe just ask one question of our panel here, like, and some of you have already touched on this a little bit, but like, when there were moments where you felt like you did not have support, like, well, who were the people who kind of came forward who might not have been the typical actors that you thought and would support you that suddenly were? So I know we spoke about a particular
other homeless
caseworker.
people. For me, it's
Go
definitely
right ahead.
homeless
Perfect.
people. Other homeless people are the nicest, most generous people that you'll ever meet is other homeless people. And it's actually kind of unfortunate. And I think for youth, especially, because for me, like it was other guys who were struggling, but they were always like older men. And some of them, they were nice and they helped me out, but they had bad intentions. So it's like they were always there for me, and that's something to watch out for. And that's something that I really like try and advocate for, is like young youth girls who are out there and vulnerable, you know, and they get helped by like older guys, or, you know, then they start going down, you know, the wrong direction. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, definitely other homeless people, other people who are struggling, other people who go to soup kitchens. I find that they're the most generous helping people. Like they'll let you sleep on their couch, they'll let you sleep on their bed. They don't care, you know, they're really helpful. And I think that it should be people who like have stuff should be the people who are most helpful, right? Should be the other way around. But I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Are there others who want to respond to that?
Growing up for me,
Bob.
I always had like friends' parents always letting me stay at their houses and like staying on their couches and having extra bedrooms, letting me crash in extra bedrooms and like help me apply for jobs, and if they own businesses, like giving me opportunities at their jobs to help me succeed. And those are the people who really helped me up until like I kind of like used them all up and got older to the point where like, you know, my friends got their own places. They don't have parents anymore. And it's like, I had to figure it out on my own, but it was always like friends' parents.
Thank you.
For me, it was Google. One of the times I was homeless, I Googled how to make quick cash, and this app named Rover came up to walk dogs. I got my aunt to pay for the little subscription. After she paid for it, people really let me walk their dogs, and I actually put the shelter's address as my address up there. So I think it made people feel worse, like, let me let her walk this dog so I can give her this little bit of cash. But it worked out because I booked like 10 dog walks in a day until I got an actual address to get a better job. Like I just, you know, kept my mind busy because I felt like that was the best thing to do when you're going through a messed up situation, is keep your mind busy so that your soul and everything emotionally doesn't sink into what you're feeling and what you're going through. You can stay ready and you can stay focused because you know like a better day is going to come and you could get back to living how you want to live.
Awesome. Tef, Tyler, thank you so much. Other questions from Tim and or Marina or Chris? Go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, Tyler, if you don't mind me asking, and maybe anybody can chime in here, how would it be possible or beneficial to help youth create networks with friends? One of the ideas of diverting people out of housing instability is to connect them or reunite them with family, but also with friends. What are some good strategies to help formulate or repair those relationships so that people do have a place to go?
Well, in my experience, it was always like activities, like either sports or like riding bikes or skateboards or anything like that. It's just like community activities, even like playgrounds or parks, like where you could hang out and like, you know, really get to know a person and feel like you guys bond and have things in common, where they get to like understand where you're coming from and, you know, get to know you and figure out like, yeah. And if like going to reuniting, there's always like the social media route, and like, I don't know, like it's always good to be like the bigger person and message somebody and be like, hey, how have you been? Just checking on you, even if they don't reach out to you, because, you know, they might be thinking the same way, but they don't, you know, have the time or they don't have it in them to be the bigger person.
That's a good idea. Thanks.
And Tyler, it sounds like what you're saying is before COVID, right, there are these open public spaces where people can meet each other, build community, and potentially, you know, build a network that, you know, allows me to couch surf or to hang out with you if need be. But now with COVID, I feel like a lot of spaces are closed and those areas and opportunities to meet other folks are smaller. And so Tyler or anyone, can you talk about what the COVID experience has been like, and, you know, what type of barriers, this isn't broad, but like what type of barriers are new now because of COVID?
Well, COVID really affected me. Like, I was working at a restaurant in the kitchen, and I was like living with a kid that I knew. He was like an old neighbor, and we were both working in the kitchen, and we were like splitting a rent. And when coronavirus came around, like we couldn't afford the rent and we had to move. And I went from there to like the shelter, and then from the shelter to a friend's house. And but long story short, like coronavirus took my job and took my income, and then basically I'm still unemployed. I'm still looking for a job. The unemployment like benefits came in, and that was always helpful because like I contribute to places where I went. But unfortunately, like I'm like sitting home, you know, right now at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Like, I don't have a job. I don't have anything to do right now. I'm on here trying to figure out what to do, you know? So it's like coronavirus affected me that way, really.
What's great.
Yeah, I can relate to like coronavirus affected me with my job. I used to be a waitress and now it's like, and I had a kid really young too. And I'm sure that other girls, you know, out there had kids really young are going through the same thing. She's about to go to kindergarten and I don't want her going to kindergarten because in person and then doing it online. I have to stay here and I'm a single mother. So now I can't work. And I can't survive off of unemployment, you know, so coronavirus has like really affected me. I'm just sitting here living paycheck to paycheck and I can't go out and do anything. I have to stay here with my daughter. I can't get a job because I'm the only parent watching her. So
Let them see you, Kitty.
yeah.
And I would love to provide a space and an opportunity for any youth participant to acknowledge that there's a lot of providers on here and people who are actively listening to creative new solutions. So if you've been thinking about new solutions or ideas that you want to communicate to larger systems, larger service providers, now would be a perfect time as we wrap up this meeting to provide some solutions to what you're experiencing.
There needs to be like youth like hubs. Like I don't know how to explain it, but I just feel like it would be really helpful if someone tried to create little hotspots where youth could gather, but actually for resources, like instead of out in the cold, you know, in like hubs where they know that they can go, like in local areas where we know homeless populations are high. I just feel like there needs to be an actual hub built by these programs. You get what I'm saying? To where you know, okay, this is a safe spot where I could go charge my phone, get a snack. There'll be people walking around if I need someone to talk to, you know, just something that feels like they won't be around a bunch of older people. Because one thing I noticed is when I was in the warming center, being so young, I was in there with a lot of way older people. You know what I mean? So I think there needs to be a strictly warming center, warming hub for youth, safe place, safe space, you know?
A drop-in center in Hartford, I agree.
Yes.
Yeah, Youth Continuum used to be like the best drop-in center. It used to be exactly that, where I used to go and meet other youth and charge my phone. I used to go actually sleep there for a couple hours. Youth Continuum used to be awesome. So drop-in centers are so great. I so support that.
I want to thank all of you. We are timed out right now, but I want to thank our attendees, particularly Tef and Tyler and Veronica and Necha and Tylon. Thank you so much for your input and thought today. And Marina, Chris, and Tim, you did pretty well too. So thank you to all of you for bearing with us. And let's see, I think that we're at happy hour today. Madeline, I'm not quite sure, do we have anything else that we'd like to say? Today's events are just about over, but we're gonna keep doing this tomorrow and Friday too.
That's right. Thank you so much. Thanks to all of our panelists and youth. This was a really wonderful conversation, and we're so grateful to all of you for spending your last hour and the time you spent preparing for this with us. So thank you so much. This was really a wonderful conversation. We're wrapping up a day. This is actually today's schedule, but I hope that everybody out there looks at tomorrow's schedule and find something that you want to attend. This conference is going on through Friday at 5, and the keynote tomorrow is titled Justice Starts at Home, a conversation on criminal justice, housing, and segregation. So hope that you'll attend and spread the word to others who might be interested. Now it is time for happy hour. So all of you should have a link. Anybody who registered has a link. So please do come to the happy hour. Join us. We love to see faces and be together. So thank you so much, and look forward to seeing you all at the rest of the conference.
Thank you, everybody.
Everybody, thank you.
Thank you. Nice meeting everyone.